Hey guys, today we're going to be solving our two-step equations with rational coefficients. And so this is a little bit different. We're now going to be looking at fractions and decimals as coefficients. And so I want to draw your attention to number 3 on your handout. Notice right here we see n over 3 in a fraction. I want us to feel really comfortable with the understanding that n divided by 3 is the same thing as writing 1/3 of n plus 11 is equal to 8. They represent the exact same thing. And so now I feel like we're pretty comfortable saying we need to use inverse operations to make zero pairs. First off, we need to move our units. And so the first thing I would do is say, hey, we got to subtract 11 on both sides. So my positive 11 and my negative 11 make 0. So I'm left with 1/3 of n is equal to. And now we have 8 minus 11. And if you're not comfortable with your integer operations, I would recommend drawing a number line. So if I start at 8 and I take away 11, I'm trying to figure out what I'm getting to. So I know 8 minus 8 gets me to 0. And then I need to take away 3 more, which takes me to a negative 3. So 1/3 of n is equal to a negative 3. So this is where I know a lot of us get tripped up, but I want us to think about our goal for solving an equation. Our goal is to find one whole value of the variable. And right now, what this is telling us is that we only have 1/3 of n. And so I'm going to draw a strip diagram to represent that. If this whole strip diagram represents n, I only know 1/3 of it. And I know my 1/3 is equal to negative 3. Well, each third will need to equal the same thing. So the whole thing of n is 3 groups of negative 3, which is equal to negative 9. And if we think mathematically with our fractions, to find what one whole n is, it takes 3 groups of 1/3 to get to a whole. So it would take 3 groups of negative 3 to find the value of n, which would give us the negative 9. And again, we can plug it in and we can check. And I can use either of the equations. I can use n over 3 plus 11 is 8, or I can use how we rewrote it, which is 1/3 of n plus 11 is 8. So I'm going to use the original one, and I'm going to say negative 9, because I've plugged negative 9 in for n. Negative 9 divided by 3 plus 11 is equal to 8. Well, negative 9 divided into 3 groups is a negative 3. Plus 11 does give us a positive 8. So we are done. All right, guys, and I do want to take a look at one more type of problem. Because notice now we still have a rational coefficient, but this time it is not a unit fraction, meaning our numerator and our fraction right there is not 1. So we can still do the same thing, the same type of thinking. So we know 2/3 of b minus 16 is equal to 0. Well, I need to create 0 pairs to get my variable by itself on the left-hand side. So a negative 16 combined with a positive 16 will make a 0 pair. And I am left with 2/3 of b is equal to a positive 16. So again, I can represent this using a strip diagram. I have my whole strip, which is equal to b. And I don't know the value of b right now, but I do know that 2/3 of b, so 2/3 of b right here, is equal to 16. So I can share 16 evenly by dividing it into two groups. And so I get that each group is 8. And so what we've just done algebraically is we've said 2/3 of b is 16. So I'm going to divide it into two groups to find what 1/3 of b is, to find what a unit fraction of b is. Because if I know what each third of b is, I know it will take 3/3 to make the whole. I can fill up my strip diagram, identify my total, and find that b is 3 groups of 8, which is 24. And it works the same when you look at the algebraic way. 1/3 of b is 8, and I need 3 groups on both sides to get that one whole b is equal to 24. 24. All right, and we can still check our work. So if I have 2/3 of b, which we said is 24, minus 16, does that equal 0? So I'm still going to use a strip diagram to find what 2/3 of 24 is. So if 24 is the total, I want to know what 2/3 is. So I'm going to break it into pieces of 3, and each one is 8. But I only want 2 of them. So it's 2 8s, which is 16. 16 minus 16, and that does equal 0. So we've solved it, we've checked it, and the value of b is equal to 24. All right. Thanks, guys.